Dare to dream big. Inspirational thoughts for new age leadership, philosophy of life and success. That's the name of a book that I wrote 2 years back, basically wanting to share my experiences with my younger lot, the younger military professionals. So it was written for a military audience, not being commercially available. It was given free of cost to all the individuals who attended various courses of instructions in the category A establishments where we do our training. This was my dream to share these experiences and what we do and how we do as leaders. Basically, my basic take on leadership being that leadership cannot be spelt, it can only be felt. Well, it gives me great pleasure to be at the Reliance Security and Risk Management Academy to address a rich audience like yours. I thank Colonel Durga Prasad, Captain Raghu, for having invited me here to talk to you all about this all-important subject, which I feel the only thing which is important in life is actually leadership. And everyone has a different view on leadership or a take on leadership. And as I go along, you will find that I will share with you my 40 years of experience in this terrific organization called the Indian Army. While all organizations are terrific, I have no doubt about that. But it is the people who make that organization. Rise in the learning curve means increasing your abilities, increasing your capabilities till the time actually success starts chasing you. But I made mistakes. I chased success initially. Work was not effortless. Work was overwhelming. I sat like you are sitting and I did my work and it was too much and there was no time, and there was every time you were looking at things as to why this has happened like this, and you did not know how to handle crisis, you did not know how to go about things. But a lot of introspection, self-evaluation, reflection, which is the most important aspect of a leader, took me to areas beyond the limit of what a good leader is supposed to be doing. And therefore, I was the one who dared myself. You know, I am a second divisioner from school. Shy, introvert, could not face an audience like yours. I still remember the day when I got commissioned and I joined my battalion. My Subadar, the junior commissioned officer, took me and said, "Saab, apna platoon se baat kariye." And I stood there and I was dumbstruck. I didn't know what to say. What do I talk to them? Young boy, full of energy, but energy has suddenly become zero. I still remember the day when, as the Academy Cadet Captain of the National Defence Academy, there was a cultural program on and I was supposed to give a small, I think 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute talk to introduce them, thank them, etc., etc. And I stood there and here was this huge audience, while I had all along addressed 10, 20, 30 boys, given them some peace of mind. That's why I was the Academy Cadet Captain. But I could not. After speaking good morning, good evening or whatever I said, I mumbled along and I didn't know what to say after that. I'm sure I let down the National Defence Academy in a very big way. I had not run more than 400 meters in my life. Being from a public school, not that public schools you don't run, but for whatever reason, and that 400 meters also, I basically ran because it was a co-ed school to impress the girls. I hadn't run more than that. And therefore, in my first term in the National Defence Academy, I fainted during the cross country. I was actually carried into the 5th enclosure, and my company sergeant major made me stand in front of the entire squadron, and he lambasted me, he abused me, etc., etc., etc. That is the time I started thinking. That is the time I started retrospecting. My teachers always said, they told my parents, he has a lot of potential, but he doesn't apply himself. My father put me through each and every possible tuition, but I was interested in some racket games, so I would go and play tennis. I wouldn't go for tuition. My father also said, give him a glass of milk when he comes. I was in a boarding school. So not only did the teacher give a bill to my father for the tuition, which I never attended, also gave a bill for the glass of milk and the sugar cubes, which I obviously had not had. And both were happy. So that is what I said, success comes to those who dares, but success means different things to different people. And of course, I had a dream. And dreams, let me tell you, do not work if you do not work yourself. It is not Mungeri Lal ke sapne, where you just keep dreaming and you got to dream with eyes open. It's not that at every class you go or every learning thing that you do, you are sleeping. The first book that you open, your eyes closed. Oh, I was told to dream, so I'm dreaming now. You dream with eyes open and you work hard towards it. And later in life, you find actually life becomes effortless. Work becomes effortless. All of you drive a car. When we learn to drive a car, we are always looking down. How does the gear change? First gear, second gear, third gear. You're always looking down. A time comes when you're just not looking down. You don't even know that the gear has changed. I'm not talking about the auto transmission cars. I'm talking about the cars that have the gears. And you really don't know when it has been done. That's how you need to make your life. Don't be overwhelmed by what I say. How will all this happen? I'm just 30, I'm just 35. How is all this going to happen? It doesn't happen in a day. Leadership is not built in a day. Period. Leadership is a sum of hard work filled with lots of fun and laughter over the years. Get back to this aspect of new age leadership. What I call new age leadership basically is leadership skills, loyalty, courage, self-respect, etc., etc. But new age leadership is leadership skills and life skills. A lot of us forget these life skills. A lot of us do not, because understand that we're dealing with human beings. We're not dealing with machines. And therefore life skills are very important. The fear of making mistakes. I'll not get my next promotion. He'll mark it against me. He'll think that is my weakness. So the question, did people allow me to make mistakes? I will be frank with you, yes and no. Some did, some didn't. But that did not stop me from not playing safe. Risk-taking abilities, calculated risks. You don't have to be rash in your life. These calculated risks help you to become more confident. When you there's a cliff and I say, oh God, can I jump off this cliff? And then you just jump and let your wings grow while you're going down, and before you touch the ground, you have soared high again. You may think that's easy to say. Let me tell you, it actually happens. You have to let this mind flourish. Let this mind be open-ended. You should be only in competition with your own self. Every person has got a track to run on. Whether you want to walk, you want to sleep on the track, you want to run, you want to jog, it's your business. The problem arises when you start cutting tracks. What happens in a 400 meters race? You know, if somebody cuts tracks, how he's disqualified. That's what happens. So contribute to your organization. Be satisfied. Very simple words, difficult to follow unless and until you don't write them down and you follow them day in and day out by introspecting. It's all about touching lives, let me tell you. It's all about having the courage to be able to offer meaning to others. And therefore, we got to invest time. We got to invest time in leadership, in human capital. You can't just come to office in the morning and go off in the evening. You got to spend 2 minutes with a man who's just served you, to say hello, to shake hands with him. You talk to another person, you do the same. And these 2 minutes, boon boon bane samundar, add up to hours. But what differentiates a good leader from a great leader? The difference is that he makes his 24 hours into 48 hours. And it happens. I'm not saying you don't have to sleep. You can say, sir, you're an old guy. You need 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep. But no, I also love my sleep. But there are certain things which have to be done. It should be automatic. As I said, changing the gear. You should be able to do things without, initially yes, you will have to churn yourself in a manner after introspection, but gradually it becomes a habit. Anyone has heard about Edwin Aldrin? Edwin Aldrin, none of us or most of us don't know about him. He was the main pilot. No, the main pilot, not the co-pilot, who was with Neil Armstrong to walk on moon. The spaceship docked on moon. Space Center Houston said, move. Aldrin hesitated. Space Center said, co-pilot, move. Neil Armstrong moved. And so Neil Armstrong is known for the first man who stepped on moon. Edwin Aldrin, when asked, why did you not move? Of course, finally he also moved. Because he said, I did not know when I step on the moon, will I be consumed by flames? What will happen? Nobody knew what's actually going to happen. So what happens is that all of us have terrific potential. We are either shy or we hesitate or we have a fear in us. We are more bothered about the peer group. What will he say? Friends, leave the peer group to college and school days. You don't have to be, while you should live as a team where you are right now, but to ask or not to hesitate or not to be shy, you don't have to be bothered about the peer group. All my life, in my younger days, I used to be made fun of, even in my academy days. Oh, he will raise his hand for any question that he knows. While everyone wants to keep quiet, nobody likes to volunteer. So you raise your hand and everyone there and starts saying, come on. You don't have to keep raising your hand. I'm not saying that. But you know an interesting answer. You want to ask an interesting question, please go ahead. Because that may be a great idea. So that is one aspect that one has to look at, that do not hesitate, do not be shy. What comes to your heart, project it. Same time, there'll be people, when you are the leader, there'll be people who will ask questions which are sometimes foolish. Please do not snub him. The day you snub him, he will not rise after that. Especially when you have done it in front of everyone. Let him speak. Let others, there'll be a small giggle in the auditorium. Doesn't matter. Give him an answer. Say, good question. You're building up your team. Most of us are insecure. Insecure because of fear. Fear of what? Fear of incompetence. Fear of yesterday and fear of tomorrow. Damn it, I say there are only 2 days in a week that you can't do anything. One is yesterday and one is tomorrow. Yet we keep constantly thinking about that yesterday and tomorrow. The fear. Kal visit hai, kal ye aa raha hai, kal wo ho raha hai, yesterday what happened. I say draw your strength from the past, plan for the next day, plan for the future, but live in the present. And therefore you have to be secure. Only a secure leader can provide his team with all the capacities that are needed to be given to a team. If you are insecure, you will not be predictable, you will not be transparent, you will try and hide, you will be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that I explained earlier. And that's where the whole gamut of leadership goes wrong and we say we are leaders. Smile often, laugh a lot and do more. And let me tell you, success will always be behind you. God bless. Thank you. I've finished here.